From taking the fate of the DC Universe into his own hands, to other actors in the franchise hating him. Here's how The Rock's DC plans backfired. Johnson planned a Black Adam-centric universe, with other anti-hero and villain origin stories to be told on the big screen. And it was pitched to co-CEO David Zaslav. Johnson presented a multi-year plan for his character and Henry Cavill's Superman. And the two properties would connect in an inevitable and grand showdown between Superman and Black Adam. Black Adam was a decades-long passion project for The Rock, and he kept repeating that same line about how the hierarchy of power would forever change the DCEU in every interview and promotional video. But the first thing that messed up The Rock's plans was the fact that Black Adam was a box office flop, and DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn found no place for it in the universe. Say what you want, but how mad would you be if something you'd been working on for over a decade ended up failing? The blockbuster, or should I say lackluster, barely cracked the $400 million mark and saw a total worldwide box office haul of $391 million. Considering the budget was $200 million, that's not exactly what studio execs call a success story. The reviews were mixed, with some calling it a cheesy popcorn film, while others called it a fun and interesting way to pave a new path for the DCEU. The thing is, Johnson was getting a little too ahead of himself at the time, and you wouldn't believe the things he was making the studios do for him. It started with a producing credit on the animated film DC League of Super Pets, even though he did very little to promote the animated film, aside from talking about it in some interviews and Instagram posts. It was as if the star crowned himself the new CEO of DC Studios. Little did Johnson know, a few weeks after the release of Black Adam, DC would announce new co-presidents that would make targeting The Rock their first order of business. When Gunn took charge, the first thing he did was let Johnson walk. Even though they publicly declared their support for each other, you know some drama went down behind the scenes. There's no denying it. The way Dwayne tried to bend the studios to his will with all of his commands and requests left a bad taste in the mouths of the DC brass. Plus, Gunn had new plans for the universe, and it didn't see The Rock's character factoring into it, because he wanted to start with a clean slate and new actors. That's why Henry Cavill hung up the cape for good. In the end, The Rock's relentless efforts to give fans what they wanted were all in vain. Gunn has plans for a Superman reboot with Superman Legacy, but it involves a much younger actor, in a film about Clark Kent balancing life as a hero and a journalist. Didn't Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice do something like that? See what bad reviews can do? Perfectly good stories and universes get ruined with no room for development. And that's exactly what happened with a former WWE superstar. Gunn and Johnson had some serious creative differences, which led to the Black Adam star moving on to greener pastures. That doesn't mean The Rock will never return. I mean, Gunn did offer him other projects, but I imagine the pair won't be working together anytime soon. When Gunn announced his ambitious new plan for the DCEU, there was no character that related to Black Adam. And yes, that includes Shazam. Even though Gunn welcomed both of these characters at some point in the future, the recent box office stats say otherwise. With those two characters out of the picture, another very interesting group of heroes won't be returning to the screen. The Justice Society does have the potential to return, but not without the man who introduced them. Look at it this way. Everything Johnson's done until now has led to this moment. A team-up with no future. The Rock's actions led to the downfall of characters like Hawkman, Atom Smasher, Cyclone, and Dr. Fate. An ensemble that was far too good to let go. So Gunn better find some space to squeeze in somewhere ASAP. Despite Black Adam's poor box office performance, the film did have some redeeming qualities. For instance, fans adored actor Aldous Hodge's portrayal of Carter Hall in the movie, and many felt that he stole the show, along with Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate. Both actors deserve a chance to reprise their roles, although chances are slim that they'll ever be given the opportunity. Like Black Adam, Shazam 2 suffered the same fate. In the sequel's post-credit scene, we see Billy Batson meeting Jennifer Holland's Amelia Harcourt and Steve Agee's John Economos. The two Argus agents proposed a plan for Billy to join the Justice Society, but Batson thought they were recruiting him to the Justice League. This was an attempt to make things funny, but to many fans, it just didn't sit well. Harcourt's been in most of the recent DC projects, and even the TV show Peacemaker. I mean, you can't expect her not to be there, because Jennifer Holland's actually Gunn's wife. And since she's here to stay in Gunn's universe, referencing the JSA to Billy not only connected the Shazamily to the first chapter of the franchise, but it confirmed that they exist in the universe as well. Things would have looked much more promising had Fury of the Gods done well in theaters. Which brings me to how The Rock's being blamed for its failure. You know how those Argus agents showed up at the end of the sequel? Well, members of the JSA initially planned to appear and interact with DC's Captain Marvel. But Johnson vetoed those plans while the film was still in production. There were also rumors about a Wonder Woman cameo in the film, but that was scrapped too. And now the chances of her staying in the universe are probably zero. Johnson was also against bringing Zachary Levi's Shazam in Black Adam's post-credits scene. And this brought a whole new wave of drama between Levi and Johnson. Although he's had some questionable issues in the past, what makes Levi so unique is that he's never afraid to voice his opinion. Zachary posted a report from The Wrap on social media about Johnson's refusal to work with him. And a Hollywood executive said, "Dwayne tries to sell himself as bigger than the movie." The report also mentioned how Johnson wants to make DC his personal brand that centers on himself. Fans went berserk after this news, and everyone was either Team Levi or Team Johnson. The best part, though, no public response from Johnson regarding any of this. Only radio silence. And Levi throwing more shade at The Rock. Considering the beef between the stars, a future crossover seems unlikelier than ever. Johnson stopped Teth Adam from appearing in the first Shazam's post-credit scene, saying his character deserved its own origin story. And he got what he wanted. But at what cost? Look, I know I said that Johnson didn't say anything about their beef, but Levi sure did on an Instagram Live. Levi faced some backlash of his own for his comments, and people were asking him why he was blaming other people for the sequel's failure. Levi clarified that he wasn't blaming anyone for Fury of the Gods' failure, but fans were quick to judge, called him a liar, and said he was clearly doing damage control. Levi rebutted the fans, explaining that he and everyone involved in the movie tried their best to give fans what they wanted. But it's clear that their efforts didn't cut it. All in all, Levi defended the people being blamed for the film's failure, and reminded fans that there's no bad blood between anyone. Now, where does The Rock go from here? His plans ended up getting foiled by, well, himself, and led to so many issues with the franchise that it's almost sad. Aside from Johnson's usual blockbusters, where he's wearing a tight gray t-shirt in some jungle, fans think he might be joining one of the upcoming Star Wars films or series. In an Instagram post, Johnson mentions a soundtrack from the famed intergalactic franchise, and says John Williams helps him focus on his work. Some even think the papers on his desk were a script for a role in a galaxy far, far away. The Rock's next movie has been officially confirmed, and I'm sorry to disappoint, but it isn't set in a distant galaxy. It's a Christmas-themed action-adventure film, and he'll star alongside Chris Evans and J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus. Oh, sign me up! As far as Johnson's fate in the DCEU is concerned, it looks like he has no intentions of talking about it ever again, which isn't at all surprising considering he's partly responsible for its recent collapse. These days, in his spare time, Johnson's back to promoting his brands and posting workout videos that'll leave you staring in the mirror questioning your life choices. Dwayne could join Marvel or any of the other studios Disney owns, but I'm pretty sure he'll be standing far, far away from anything that has to do with James Gunn or Zachary Levi. So, from other actors in the franchise hating him to taking the fate of the DC universe into his own hands, that's how The Rock's DC plans backfired.